That's a very large piece of legislation that had two very questionable parts in it, at least two. It's about the law as a whole is about getting, allocating money to buy military hardware and stuff, so that's bad enough. But what it also did is it had two provisions that dealt with how the military could go ahead and indefinitely detain people considered guilty of terrorism. But the problem is that that definition is getting broader and broader. It now includes not just people who had to do with the September 11th attacks, but also a person who was a part of or substantially supported Al-Qaeda, Taliban, or associated forces engaged in hostilities against the U.S. or coalition partners, including any person who's committed a belligerent act. That gets to be so broad, so vague, that even lawyers, even federal judges are not sure what it means, so that in a lawsuit that's going on that Chris Hedges brought, trying to say, we need this law thrown out, the judge repeatedly asked for assurance that the plaintiffs would not be subject to detention under the NDAA. It was plaintiffs being Chris Hedges and some journalists, Icelandic parliamentarians. It was an assurance that two government lawyers refused to give. She asked U.S. Assistant Attorney Benjamin Torrance whether the government would see a book containing the sentence, "I support the political goals of the Taliban," as providing material support for associated forces, and he would rule that out. She said, "You're unable to say that such a book consisting of political speech couldn't be captured under Section 1021 of NDAA? We can't say that," he answered. "Are you telling me that no U.S. citizen can be detained under 1021? That's not a reasonable fear," the government lawyer said. "Say it's reasonable to fear you'll be unlucky and face detention. What does directly supported mean? We've not said anything about that. What do you think it means? We've not come to a position on that." These people are trying to write a law that is so broad and so vague that whether Obama uses it that way or not, the next president can. And it's a very dangerous law. This is something that undoes literally centuries of law. I mean, this is something that goes back to the Magna Carta. You ought to always have a trial. And that's the problem with this, is that the second part of this law says that detention, that the disposition of a person under this law would include detention under law of war without trial until the end of hostilities, quote unquote, which are seemingly endless. So our resolution, and it's one that we, my friends and I in Montgomery County Civil Rights Coalition spliced together from a model resolution by the ACLU and the Bill of Rights Defense Committee. That resolution calls for repealing the NDAA, instructing public agencies not to cooperate with federal agencies acting under that authority, and also a sense that the authorization for use of military force will end at the end of combat in Afghanistan. We're explicitly asking that cease to have any authority. That's a big problem, because that law, that authorization, is what kept Jose Padilla put away for years and years and years without trial. That authorization of military force is the justification given and accepted by courts why there was this years-long tug-of-war about him. So what I'm here to ask for again is that anyone who can make it help by coming to the city council meetings. And the other thing is, you were talking about a town hall meeting about about foreclosures. We're organizing something very similar, and I'm going to pass around. I meant to pass around a set of those little flyers. Write April 26th on it, because on that date, Thursday the 26th, we're having a forum with two real experts on this in Tacoma Park. Congress couldn't be bothered, literally, to hold a hearing on this before they passed the law. So Tacoma Park is going to step up and hold a hearing of its own with Heather Hurlburt of National Security Network and Shai Buttar of the Bill of Rights Defense Committee. And those two people really know what they're talking about. If you have questions about the NDAA, that'll be a great time to come. And if you want to show that you want the NDAA repealed, that'll be a great time to come, because we'll be inviting all of the city council to come. And we want them to see a big crowd there. So that's how you can help, and I'd sure appreciate it if any of you could come.
Great, thanks. That was awesome. So I know folks have questions, but hey Patrick, just before you head out, do we want to have a conversation about our next meeting?
He already told me.
Okay.
Okay. Days of Action, School of the Americas next.
We're good. Okay, so then, yeah, any questions on the
Martine?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I don't know if folks had followed this hearing that happened that Chris Hedges has brought, but those questions that you read out, absolutely shocking to me that the people that are arguing for this law can't even answer questions about how it's going to be applied. It's mind-boggling. So it was just a comment.
Right.
It's not a question. But
or won't, because I think that part of the intent is really to keep people worried, keep people scared, and I don't think that's what this country ought to be about.
Oh, and then
that's what you people don't think.
Just
what any of us don't think this country shouldn't be about.
Just
we
one
get
more.
to say what we think. We don't have to worry about a law.
I just want to make one more point that in the leaks that have come out from WikiLeaks, when they exposed that security contract company Stratfor, I think it was called, it was very clear that those people at that contract firm were hired or involved in somehow trying to link the Occupy movement to jihadi terrorists, and they actually were they were implanting things that had to do about jihad into email streams that were related to Occupy Wall Street intentionally to make this linkage that doesn't exist. So it's just unbelievable.
So this affects all of us, even if you don't feel like you have anything at all to do with terrorism, which of course you don't. There are people who would like to make it seem like you do and start to use laws like this to crack down. So that's what Martine's saying, yes.
Is there any way to localize the way we talk about it? Because it just seems like if you're making this appeal to Tacoma Park, you know, I mean, it seems like big and intense and important, but it's also how relevant, how can we make this sort of argument that people in Tacoma Park are at all effective? And it seems like I'm interested in like participating in actions that have sort of like a success sort of trajectory, and I'm wondering how likely you think it is that this will get passed.
Well, this is a different sort
have you guys thought about what you need to do to actually make it happen?
This is a different sort of movement than Occupy. We are trying to get a lot of resolutions around the country and try and build a voice to Congress about this so that they actually do repeal. So that's one thing. There are provisions in the resolution that we advocate about local police departments not cooperating when and if a federal agency wants to detain someone under authority of the NDAA.
Didn't San Francisco just pass that?
I think San Francisco's passed it. There are similar resolutions in Massachusetts, in Colorado. There's been some state resolutions passed, non-binding, but still.
And Kathleen, I think there's something to be said for